Good morning. My name is Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK. Welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday. It's lovely to have your company. I know we've already got some friends in the room with us already. Good morning, Karen, Ian and Susan over on our YouTube page. Hope everybody's well. We should have the lovely Jane Telford in the room with us today. So if you have any questions, she's there to help. And no doubt some of our other lovely design team members as well. Talking of which, there's the lovely Carol Pankstello. Good morning, Carol. And there we go. Jane is there as well. So I hope everybody's keeping warm. It's a bit fresh out there today. And this weather, it keeps fluctuating, doesn't it? 1 minute it's sort of like in the minus, then it's up into sort of 9-10 degrees. Yeah, can't keep up with it. So good idea to dress in layers. So hopefully the sound is all clear. I know there's a slight time delay. So no doubt I'll probably get the all clear from Jane very, very shortly. Good morning, Ken. There we go. Lovely to have your company, Sharon. Where's Mo today? There's a lovely Glynis. Good morning, Glynis. There we go. Sound is all good. Thank you very much, Jane. There we go. So we'll just give it a few moments. I was a little bit early to the party. I know it's bang on 10 o'clock. So, nice hot cup of coffee. There we go. So there we go. Josie. Yeah, everyone's coming in now. It's lovely. Also, you sort of see the numbers increasing and all the familiar faces. Good morning, Janet. Lovely to see you as well. Sally, good morning. Very dark. I know it's weird, isn't it? I think it's sort of very overcast. What's the weather like where everybody else is? Should we have a little weather roundup to start this morning's session off while everybody pulls up a chair and gets comfortable? There we go. Rainy in Lincolnshire with Cheryl. So here we go. Everyone's coming in. So yeah, who's been taking advantage? Well, I know who's been taking advantage of our half-price club member sale. I do. I've been printing off the orders this morning and collating them all. So I'm not going to name any names, but you know who you are. That maybe have placed 1 or 2 or 3 orders already. So yeah. It's so funny. I see the names and then I see the names again. But it's definitely worth taking advantage of. If you belong to any of our clubs, whether it's 1 club, 2 club or 3 clubs, it's 50% off on all things Clarity and Pergamano. And everything that I'm using during the course of today's session is in the half-price club member sale. So from the plates, from the tools, from the super foam, the parchment, the Groovi tabs, literally everything I am using, I'm just looking around, yeah, everything I'm using is half price. And Janet has been, I nearly said it out loud. I don't want to say anything out loud because I don't want to get people into trouble. I have a habit of that. Yeah, you can confess. We could have a little confession session about no, you don't have to. But I've done it before, haven't I? I've sort of said, oh, thank you for your order, so and so, and then no, my other half's listening. It does make me chuckle though when I see several of the names appearing. So yeah. Janet says it's okay, Dave knows. Oh, that's good. Yeah, it really it is funny because yeah, because I print the orders off and then I'll go through and I'll say, oh, let's see if this customer's placed an order already. And then, oh look, there's 1, 2, 3, and then we combine them all together and dispatch them all at the same time. Jackie says it's okay, she's got her earphones. Okay, so right, so we've got some confessions going on. Okay, so Carol is admitting to 2 orders. Yes, I've seen your orders, Carol, and you've booked in for the parchment retreat as well, haven't you? And the open dates. Glynis and Josie have confessed. Janet's confessed. Not getting anything from anybody else. Right, okay. So Jenny's having problems with Facebook losing the comments. Jenny, have you been talking to Ken? Ken often has that problem. I think it's just a Facebook glitch. Yeah, I think it's sort of, sometimes it can be a little bit hit and miss, can't it? So yeah. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want to get anyone into trouble. I can get myself into trouble without getting anybody else into trouble. So over the past few weeks, we have been looking at 2 glorious plates from the lovely Jazz. And you'll be pleased to know that the lovely Jazz is back in the office. She was very poorly last week. She's still got a bit of a chesty cough, but she's back in the building. And is she raring to go? Yeah, she's raring. Jazz is always raring to go, bless her. So yeah, so lovely to have Jazz back. But we've been looking at 2 plates designed by Jazz, which we released, I think it was October or November of last year. And we've been working with one of them. So let me just bring in the information. So we're going to go there and we're going to go there. So these are 2 A4 plates. You can get them as a bundle, which if you get both of them, which is item number 42401, it's the equivalent, if you're a club member, buy one, get one free, because that's half price and that's half price. Put them both together, buy one, get one free. So let's swap them around. So this one here is Jazz's Rosie sampler, A4 plate, 6 beautiful panels in there with sentiments down the side. If you want that on its own, it's 42396. Then we have the festive one, which isn't necessarily just festive. Then the item number is 42395. And we've been looking at the Rosie one. And we started off creating a piece of artwork like so. And I took my inspiration from a piece of artwork from Josie, and we turned that into a coaster. And I gave that to Barb, and Barb took that up to Maggie, because I always have a cup of tea or coffee on the go. I'm sure Maggie does. So that was something to put on her bedside table for her drinks. So yep, so that's up in Reddit with lovely Maggie. So that's what we looked at first. And if I come in a little bit more closely, see if I can get this in the middle. Whee, there we go. So this is taking the rose, it's got the outer frame, and then we use the basic grids to infill in the background. And we spent a couple of weeks colouring in using our Pergoliner pencils. So don't forget, you can go back and you can watch all of our shows, from The Shack to Groovi Tuesday to Clarity Social TVs to the Craft Alongs. They're all available on the Clarity Crafts YouTube page. It's a vast library of knowledge, and it's all free as well. So if you want to see how this was created, then you can go back and watch that. Then what I thought we would do, it was Barb sort of kicked it off with in the shack with the heart doodles. Let me zoom out a little bit now. There we go. So this is a lovely piece of artwork from Glynis, but it's not just the card on the front. This is using our voucher pouches. So inside you have a little gift card, or this could be a lovely holder for your ATC or PTCs as part of the mini makes. That'd be a lovely way to send it, wouldn't it? So these are also in the half price club member sale. And I thought what we would do, we'd have a look at this design, which on the plate, let me just bring that up to there, you can see here what Glynis has done. She's taken the plate exactly as it comes, and then she's used some multi-needle tools around the outside. And if I remember rightly, this is the Pico V's. Let's have a look. Oh no, it was the semi-square, wasn't it? Yeah, the semi-square tool to create that pattern around the outside. Let me zoom in, because don't forget, all of our multi-needle tools are, there we go, are also in the half price sale. So what's Glynis saying? I love these plates. I mean, you have 6 card designs straight off the bat. You really do. And you can just take the designs exactly as they come, or interpret it in various different ways. So I thought we would take our inspiration from this piece of artwork from Glynis and have a go at this fancy Pico cutting on the inside. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Barb did a craft along, and that was using the dragonflies, and she did a coaster that she made for her mum many moons ago. And it was a free craft along, and you can go back and watch that again if you want to. And it was all about creating areas for cutting. And then after that was on the Thursday evening, and then on the Friday we launched a lovely collection of plates from Linda Williams. Those I'm going to call them Richie Lou plates. Excuse me. Which had that lovely sort of it isn't lattice. I think can't think what it was called, but it was a lovely lace effect in 2 different sizes. It was a diagonal. So Janet wants to see how the border is made. Yeah, we can do that. Let me just zoom back in on that one. So what Glynis has done, she's taken the semi-square tool and she's worked her way around that. And I would say, let me see if I can grab my semi-square tool. Let me have a look. Okay. It's not one of the tools that I've used myself personally. I don't think I have anyway. Let's have a look. Semi-square. Where are you? Don't bear with. That's the cross. That's the semicircle. There's that one. There's the Pico V's. Is it on the next page? I think this one here is the semi-square tool, and I'm sure Glynis will correct me. So yeah, no, this is definitely the semi-square tool. So let's have a look. That might be a little bit too out of focus. Yeah, because I've set the camera. I don't know if I can come in. Hang on. It's too small. Let me go. Hang on. Hang about. Let me go to there and see. No, I think I've got too much in the background. Right, let's try coming in. There we go. It might focus. There we go. I had too much in the background. So that there is the semi-square tool. Okay. So that one there creates. I'm gonna hang on. Let me go. Multitasking. Let me bring that back in. I think I'm right. I'm sure Glynis will correct me if I'm wrong, but let's have a look. So if I do that, yes, that is definitely the semi-square tool. So let's go to there, to there. Whee. So you go along. If I actually, let me perforate it. I'm going to, I've got a practice piece here. Let me show you. So I'm going to bring in my Pico foam, like so. I digress, I know. But it's lovely to have some questions. Where's that gone? There it is. Okay, so I've got my Groovi guard. Now, if I come in closely on this, hopefully you will be able to see that. Okay, so if I show you the tool, I don't know if it might not pick it up because of the background. Let me take that away. We're going to, no, still not. No, okay. So the easiest thing to do is to show you, isn't it? So if I take that, and then I'm going to take that up against the edge of my Groovi guard, and then we're going to shallow perforate, like so. Try not to go on the white line. Okay, so what this does is it gives you those, it's like a triangle, and it's got three, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 up each side, and then it's infilled. I tell you, if I do, where are we going? If I do that, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to re-perforate with the 1 needle bold. Might be a little bit too big, let me just try. But it might allow you to see the design of that tool a little bit more clearly. There we go. So that, yeah, there we go. So that is the pattern that you can see. Okay, so that's me just re-perforating with the bold, so it's easier for you to see. Okay. So now that's what Glynis has done around the outside of that, but she's just shallow perforated and then put some little dots in between there, freehand, and then Pico cut around the outside. Okay, so that is the tool that will also be in the half price sale as well. Okay, so there we go. So 1 mil ball tool between the holes, then re-perforate. Absolutely. So what Glynis is saying, if you can't see the messages, if maybe you're over on our YouTube page, is that you shallow perforate first, you do your white work, and then you re-perforate so that it makes the holes a little bit bigger. Okay, so thank you, Glynis. Right, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at this piece of artwork here from Glynis. And over the previous weeks, we've already traced out the design. Okay, now I left out these little corner areas because I wanted to concentrate on the heart. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, I was having a bit of a play. Okay, and this is my practice piece. So rather than go straight in onto my piece of artwork, I was having a practice. So let's zoom in and have a look at that. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, it's definitely a good idea to practice. Okay. And I was jumping between, do I go for the 2 needle bold? Do I go for the 2 needle fine? Do I use a grid underneath? And last week we established that from Glynis that she used the 2 needle tool. And I think it was the fine, I think Glynis said last week. So I was having a practice and sort of trying to stay away from the lines and thinking, right, okay, what am I going to do? So I found the easiest way to go for was the 2 needle fine tool. Okay. So I'll practice on here just to show you. The Groovi guard really does help. And we're going to start off, and I'm just going to put my groovy guard along the line of my artwork. Okay, then I'm going to go in as close to the line as I can, and also as close to this little dot. Okay, do you remember we embossed those little dots? Then we're going to perforate there. Now I'm shallow perforating, and then we're going to increase by 1 perforation at a time. See, the guard is meant to make it nice and straight. And then what I'm going to do, let me try it freehand, because I think I got it better freehand. So I turned at an angle, like so. And then I found it was easier to do 1 square at a time. Okay, so we go in and we perforate. And we slowly work our way around. And then as we approach that little corner, we turn, and we turn the tool so that it goes around the corner, like so. Okay, so go along, go along, go along, and then you turn, and then you continue. Okay, and it's just remembering to take time. So you can use the grid, Bernie. So what you could do, you could use the grid underneath, and you could perforate with the 1 needle tool. Okay, and just shallow perforate. So if I now go to, there we go, take the stabilizers off now, and I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to concentrate as I'm doing this. So we're going to go in, and we're increasing 1 perforation at a time. Okay, I'm going to turn at an angle and then work my way round the square. And when you start to do this, it looks a little bit like as if you're going round in a circle within a square. Okay, so we turn it round again. And I found, for me personally, this was the best way of doing each of the little squares. Okay, and I'm not pushing all the way in. I'm just working my way round and increasing. Now, if you can see, I'm going to bring this up slightly. I've got, no, it doesn't like it. I've got a little bit of a gap. So what I can do is I can take my 1 needle fine and just introduce a little perforation in between. Okay, so we're going to start with the next one, like so. And then we're going to work our way around as we do. And then we're turning to go round the corner, like so. There we go. And it's all about taking each square 1 square at a time. Okay, so then we work our way around again. And it doesn't, once you get into the rhythm, it really doesn't take that long to perforate the design. Okay, now that one has worked out a little bit better. And it may look a little bit, oh, it's not going to work. It's not until you come to do your picot cutting that it will actually give you that effect that you're after. Okay, so work our way around, 1 at a time. Okay, and there we go. So I don't know why I'm holding my breath. As Ken said, these plates really are, these plates are sort of like, I think Barb described them as sort of training plates. because you can practice various different techniques, and it's all about having the small mini make element to it. And because I know from experience, I don't feel as overwhelmed on doing it with a smaller piece than I would with a larger piece. So if I then take my scissors or my perga cutters, which are also half price in the club member sale, okay, I've got 3 different pairs to choose from. So let's have a look. Bring my chair in. So I know many of you already have your scissors of choice. So there's 3 different ones to look at. Okay, and these aren't just any scissors. They've got that special curve to them, and it's all about the sharpness in the tips of the blade. Okay, so if we have a look, you've got your exclusive scissors, you have your ring lock scissors, and then you have your perga cutters. So I can use all 3 of them. For me, the ring lock are a lot more comfortable because they have a larger aperture for my fingers. If I'm going to do a lot of picot cutting, then I prefer to use the perga cutters, because it's just a case of, it's a little bit getting used to, so you just sort of squeeze and the blade comes together. So if I come in on this camera here, there we go. So if I turn that to the side, you can see how they're curved. Okay, the same with the ring locks and also with the exclusives. Okay, so I'm going to go with my ring lock, like so. I'll put my goggles back on. And when we're doing our picot cutting, we're cutting over the waist area. So the length of my scissors is over the piece that's going to fall away. So I'm going to hold my scissors. I hold them with my thumb and my forefinger, come in from underneath. Glynis is saying her perga cutters are her favourite. I prefer to cut on the flat. Many of our friends at home prefer to cut by holding it up. Okay, so it's the tips of the scissors go in, and then all I'm going to do is, as I tilt towards me, I'm going to squeeze slightly, and you'll see the parchment forms a picot, that point. Okay, so if I'm going to do all of these in one direction first. Okay, so when I'm picot cutting, I tend to do all in one direction first, whereas when I was perforating, I did each of them individually. Okay, now normally the picot cutting would be left until you'd completed all of your perforating. Okay, so I will have all of this perforated by next week. Okay, and then we're going to turn round, and you'll notice this hand here isn't moving. I'm moving my work. Okay, there we go. So that was all I introduced a tiny little extra perforation to. It's that satisfying snip, the sound. Then we're going to go around, and then we'll do the final side of our little squares, just like so. Okay, and then I always get one bit that hangs in there. It doesn't want to let go. Let's see if that will be on this occasion. There we go. There's always one. Okay. So then you can see I've now got my perforations. So we continue to do that through, I mean, you may just want to do one row. There's no rules to say, maybe you just want to do one row or do a cross to create like a kiss effect. There's no rules to say that you have to perforate and picot cut all of it. You maybe want to add some colour as well. So the colouring would all be done before we perforate and picot cut. But I just wanted to show you how we can get inside those tiny little areas. And for me, it was the 2-needle fine that I found worked better for me. Okay, so for example, if I go along here now, let's move those scissors to one side. So we're going to go in. So I now, because I've weakened that central structure, I just need to be a little bit more careful when I'm perforating along this line here. Okay. And what we're after is the overall look of having those lattice area perforated. Okay. Ooh. Tried to move the parchment before I removed the needles. So there we go. Going to work our way round. And for some reason, I always start in the bottom left-hand corner. Don't know why. But I suppose we all have our own little quirks. So Betty's asked if I can show how the cutters work. Of course I can. I will cut these ones out with the perca cutters. So there's several different ways in which you can hold your scissors. You can hold them in the fork position with the point going down, or you can hold them in the spoon position with the curve going up. I prefer to hold them in the spoon position with the curve going up because I'm working on the flat. Okay, so, and I hold all of the scissors with the curve going up because I find that's what works for me. So I need to be careful along this row here because I jumped ahead and did some picot cutting. Now, if you're local or localish, then and you're looking to perfect your picot cutting, then you could always join us at our open days in Ditton, where you can have a one-to-one with the lovely Glynis, who does the snip clinic. Okay, so these are the perca cutters. So they've got that, I call them squizzers because they're scissors that squeeze, but that's just me. So it's the same as before, it's just the tips of the perca cutters go in, and then I just tilt towards me. And then as I tilt, I squeeze until I see the picot forming, like so. Okay, but the trick is to remember that you keep them, so I've gone in, I've closed the scissors to cut, but you need to keep them closed when you withdraw from the perforations, because if you snip and then release, it's going to go into the next hole. Okay, so snip, snip, snip. Sometimes I'll have good days with the perca cutters. Sometimes I have bad days with the perca cutters. So normally I would practice on a row of perforations on a scrap piece of parchment just to get my hand in, rather than going straight in to my finished artwork. just like so. Okay. And again, you'll notice this hand isn't moving. I'm turning my parchment. I'm making my work come towards me. So this is where I need to just be a little bit more careful up against the strand of the lattice. Okay. Turn it round. And this is the final side. Hopefully it will all fall away like it did before. Okay. Okay. Last one. It's so satisfying when the little pieces drop out. There we go. So you can see how it's starting to take shape. And in the whole scheme of things, if I bring in what the lovely Glynis has done, you can see how you can start to build up your perforations or your picot cutting to create those little windows. Okay. Do we have any more questions? I'm sure there's been loads of chats going on. I do try and pay attention, but when you're doing that, you really got to concentrate. So so next week, by the time we come back next week, because what I wanted to do, because we're in the middle of our, well, say the middle, we only started yesterday, our half price club member sale, I wanted to share with you some products. Okay, so many of you know that the lovely Louise, I saw her in the room earlier, will be joining us on Monday. And she's going to be showing us so many tips and tricks with in parchment craft, from using the multi-needle tools to using the picot cutting, the shadow embossing, and she'll have the time to go into it in a little bit more detail. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to share with you. Maybe you're just getting into your perforating or your Pergamano multi-needle tools. Then there's two fantastic products that we have, and they are handbooks written by Linda Williams. Okay, so we've got volume 1 and we have volume 2. So volume 1, let me just change the camera on here. Okay, so I knew I'd get the wrong one. I'd set it so I could come in. There we go. So you've got volume 1 handbook, and then you have the tools that go with it. So if you wanted to go for the book and the tools, and I'll go through them individually in a moment, then the item number is 70458. Normally has a price of £94.92, but in the club member sale, it's £47.46, half price. Maybe you just want to have a peruse through the book, then the book is half price. So the item number for the book is 70291, half price at £12.50. If you want to have a look at the tools to go with it, so you can buy the book, you can buy the tools, you can buy all the tools individually, which will also be half price, but the tools are 70290 to accompany that book. Okay, so let's have a look at the tools first to see what tools are in that collection. So within the collection for volume 1, we have the 3-needle tool, the 5-needle, the 5 in a circle, the flower, the semicircle mini tool, and the swirl tool. And for those of you that tuned in at the beginning of the month when we launched the personalised Groovi plate and Louise was here demonstrating, she used the semicircle tool to go around the outside of her design. Okay, £9.99 each, so these are all half price individually. Maybe you've got one or two of these already, but you want to top up your collection. Okay, then we have, I'm going to bring this in now. We've then got the handbook. And for me, what I've done, I've put some artwork from Linda in here just to share with you. Okay, so volume 1, let's just have a look on the back. Okay, so there we go. So volume 1 by Linda Williams. Follow along. The book is fantastic for beginners and experienced parchment crafters alike, with 12 projects, step-by-step instructions, photographs, as well as a detailed pattern map for ideas, inspiration. Everyone can explore the many designs made possible by Pergamano multi-needle tools. So this is a ring-bound handbook, okay, and it's got a lovely index of contents of what's covered, the art of parchment craft, a message from Linda, using top tips on that, tool guides and the patterns. So if I just jump ahead a little bit, for example, and show you what Linda has created. So if I zoom out now, so you can see here for each of the tools in this collection, you've got the 5-needle tool. Linda has created a pattern or a map of some of the things that you can do with that 5-needle tool. Okay, so you've then got on here a guide where to perforate, where to emboss, and where to cut. Then the key thing for me on the next page is you've got this introduction from Linda, and then you have this pattern that you photocopy. Okay, now you need to make sure you photocopy it actual size, or if you scan it in and print it off, it has to be scanned and printed actual size. You then use this to practice the different techniques. Okay, so if I now come in, you can see here. So what Linda does, she shows you exactly some of the patterns. And by having this underneath your parchment is a good way of practicing to create lovely effects using the multi-needle tools. Okay, so you can go in rows, you can go in borders, you can go in corners. So that one 5-needle tool is the tip of the iceberg. It can do so much more. Okay, so when I turn it over now, let's have a look. Where am I going? I'm going back up to that one. So we can see, then it moves on to the next one, etc., etc. Now, also in here, you get an image of a finished piece of artwork that Linda has created. She tells you what tools she has used to create that. Okay, what areas she's used from the pattern. Okay, so it's like having Linda in your room and she guides you through. Then you've got your step-by-step pictorial and written instructions. It tells you the project difficulty, 2 is intermediate. You get a list of ingredients of what's been used, and then say Linda guides you through and shows you how to put those into practice. So if I zoom in on this card now, there we go. So you can see all these little patterns here have been made using the multi-needle tools. Okay, so let's zoom out on the next one. Let's go to the next one. I love this one, the colourful balloons. So this one is using the 5 in a circle, the semicircle, and the 4-needle. Tells you what part of the patterns you need when you're creating this. But obviously you can create any pattern by looking at these areas on any of your cards. Let's have a look at this one here. There we go. So now you've got your teddy bib. And this one, I've jumped a page on this one. This uses the 2-needle and the 5 in a circle. So it's a really nice sort of book that you can work your way through. Maybe do one a month, maybe do one a week. It depends what you're up to. This one here uses the 2, the 4, and the 5. Okay. Then this one here uses the 2 and the 4-needle. So it's just about the adding decoration to your design to enhance what you've done. Then we move on to And I'm just flicking through some of these. This isn't all of the projects. You've got Happy Christmas, and this one's using 2 needle and 5 in a circle. So maybe take this pattern that Linda's created and incorporate it in some of your other cards. Love this one. This is Dear Jane Nesterenko's Rose. And this one has been using the 2 needle, the semicircle, and the moon. Again, so this one here is a semicircle. Linda's used this element here. Then she's used this part. And then she's used that to go around the outside. Okay, so that is, oh no, one more. This is lovely. The yin and the yang. Lots of tools used on this one. The 2 needle, the 3 needle, the 4 needle, the flower, the swirl. Mix them all up. Let me bring this one in. I'm going to hold that just there so we can come in. Okay, and if you look at that edge there, when you look at it in context, if I come back out now, there we go. It's those little finishing touches that can really enhance your work. That little swirl in the middle. And again, Linda is showing us exactly what parts of the patterns and the tools that you would use. And she guides you through with those step-by-step instructions. Okay, so if I come back out, and on some of them, she also gives you an additional pattern. So you can photocopy this like you do with the practice ones, and then practice on this first. And you can use the patterns several times depending on how your perforating goes. Okay. So that's volume 1. So that's a really good introduction to some of the, I would say, more simpler designs of the multi-needle tools. Okay. So just as a recap, if you want, there we go, there and there. If you want the bundle, item number is 70458. Half price if you're a club member, 47.46. So that gives you the book and the tools. Okay. If you just want the book on its own, it's 70291. If you want the tools on their own, it's 70290. And don't forget, all of these tools are also available individually, and they're half price in the club member sale. Okay. So that's volume 1. Excuse me. Now, once you've mastered volume 1, now it's time to move on to volume 2. Okay. And the tools in this collection, I remember when Barbara bought Pergamano and we took delivery of one of everything. I mean, it was like Christmas had come early, and I remember it so clearly. I know I've said this many times before, and we was up in Barb's studio above the garage back at the house, and this big box of stuff turned up, and we were taking these tools out, and we didn't know. We knew there was like a 1 needle and a 2 needle. That was it, sort of thing. And that was more for the grids rather than decorative purposes. And we saw all these tools, and I was stabbing the parchment thinking, well, okay, it's loads of holes. What do you do with it? And then that's when Linda Williams came on board, because when she showed us what you could do with a tool with loads of needles in it in a particular design, it was a real sort of game changer. So now we have volume 2. Okay, and for me, these are a little bit more, they're definitely multi-moldy needles on this collection. Okay, so let me see, I'm going to go on that one, and I'm going to go on that one. So multi-needle tool set volume 2. Okay, let me just bring in the details first. If you want the bundle, which is the tools and the book, item number 70359. Okay, half price at £69.94. Now, don't forget, each of these tools are normally £10 each. Okay, if you want the book, This is a larger volume book. It's £29.99, club price £15. If you want the tools, so £109, £110. So that tells me there's 11 tools in this collection, and it's £54.95. Okay, so let's have a look at the tools. So in volume 2, now these were a game changer. This is something that we launched. I say we. Barbara and Linda worked together to come up with these Pico Vs. So these tools were introduced after we bought Pergamano. So you've got your Pico V in large, medium and small. You've got an angle tool, an almond tool, a heart, perfect for this time of the year, the 4-in-4, the cross, the moon, the semi-square. I thought that was in this collection, the semi-square and the star point. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so maybe you've got some of these already. Maybe you've already got your Pico Vs and you want to top up your collection. Okay, so let's have a look at the book. It's the same concept as volume 1, and this one has 18 projects in it. So the first one had 12, I think. Let me just double check that. First one had 12, and it consisted of 106 pages. This one has 18 and consists of 172 pages. Okay, so let me turn this over. Let me zoom out for you. There we go. And I know that Louise will definitely be putting these through their paces when she joins us. Okay. Same as before, wire bound, so it's easy for you to turn over and lay flat. You've got your introduction from Linda. Then the same, the art of parchment craft, lace work. You've got the same setup where Linda creates a pattern for you or a map. So that's what it looks like. This is your guide for 1 needle, 2 needle, 4, perforate, emboss and cut. Then you've got your pattern to practice on. You've got a little bit of an introduction from Linda. Pattern that you photocopy or scan and print actual size. And then it moves on to the next one. So this one combines both the heart and the almond tool. So let's have a look at some artwork. So this one here is a golden wedding anniversary. All this artwork has been created by Linda. This is using the heart tool. And you can see Linda's just taken that one tiny area on that pattern to create these areas here. Okay, so if I zoom in now, come on, there we go. So it's perforated, it's quite light. It's perforated using the heart tool, shallow perforated, then embossed to fill the heart. And then I'm guessing Linda would then reperforate with the 1 needle fine to make the perforations stand out more. Okay, so there's one piece of artwork there. Then this one here. And don't forget, so this one uses the moon and the cross tool. Okay. And don't forget, you also get your list of ingredients and your step-by-step and the difficulty level. So maybe you've gone past that sort of beginner stage and now you want to sort of challenge yourself a little bit more. So you've got that. And the artwork in here, it really is, I mean, I say I'm skipping some. This one here, I love this plate. This is from Linda's Flowers and Lace collection. That's using the 4-in-4 tool to create, if we have a look at the pattern, these patterns here. So let me zoom in on there. There we go. Look, so that's the book. Look, the book is slightly bigger than the finished artwork. And using that tool, which one was it? It was the 4-in-4 with a little bit of embossing, you can create that effect. And because you've got that pattern at the beginning of the book, then it's easy for you to replicate that. And on some of these, Linda has also, I don't know if it's on this one, let's have a look. On some of them, she's given you, oh, there we go, a layout pattern as well. So this is the Groovi plate, and it is, I think it's the Aquilegia. It's a gladiolus and lace plate, which is there, and the item number to that, according to the book, is 40921. And what you're doing is you're making 2 pieces, so it wraps around. This is your pattern that you can use to follow. Then got this one, this is nice. Wedding, and I reckon that's a moon. Is it a moon? Yes. So that's using the moon around the outside. I know it's sad, isn't it? Get excited over multi-needle tool. But rather than just trace out a rectangle or a square, using those tools, and Glynis and the design team, I know they've done many. If you go to claritymattersblog.com, I'm sure Jane will pop the link up. When we looked at volume 1 and volume 2 in previous episodes of Groovi Tuesday, Glynis did these fantastic tag projects, and to show how you could use the tools in context of the books as well. Maybe you look at this artwork and think, oh, I can't do that big. claritymattersblog.com, search for multi-needle tools when you're on there, and there are loads and loads of little beautiful tag pieces that Glynis created for each of these tools in both volume 1 and volume 2 as well. There we go, Jane's popped that up for me. Thank you, Jane. So, I mean, look, just using, and then that's using that part of the pattern that's in the earlier part of the book to create the frame around the outside. And you may think, but it's only that long. So all you do, and Linda tells you this, is that you take your piece of artwork, you start off, and then you move it along, and you move it along. Just like you would if you're using like Josie's grids, where you extend the pattern. Then we move, oh look, the owls. So this is great, graduation one. And this one uses the angle tool. And the angle tool has been used, let me come in on this one. The angle tool, there we go, has been used around that. No picot cutting done at all, just perforated, embossed and coloured. Also around the outside of those circles as well, to add that little decorative element. But when you look at it overall, it's those little bits of detail. So just because they are a multi-needle tool doesn't mean that you have to picot cut. They're decorative tools. And that's just using that one little part of the pattern. Okay. Then, this is Jane's Acapanthus. Lovely Jane. This one's using the star point. And that, okay, so let's have a look. So this bit here is this here. Then this around the outside is this area here. Okay, and don't forget, I'm just showing you, it's all here for you. It's like a lovely encyclopedia for you to work through. There you go, you have a pattern that you can photocopy and follow. Then it's been enlarged here so you can see where to do your embossing, where to perforate from the front and where to perforate from the back. Because if you look at that piece of artwork, you'll see that it folds over. So that's a really good technique where you're working on both sides of the parchment because you know you're going to fold it back. And dare I say, Easter is just around the corner. So I reckon that's a Tina plate. But look at, okay, let me come in on this. This was something that Louise was sharing with us the other week. Hang on, let it focus. See that? Louise was doing that with the semicircle tool where she drew in those little fans. So this has been using the Pico V large and then using that one there. And I wonder whether it is, so there we go, you've got it there. Is it Linda's 1, 2, 3 flowers? Look, you've got everything written there. Then we've got another piece. There we go. I think that's the Aquilegia again around the outside. This one is using the medium Pico V. Now this time, rather than going around the outer edge, this one here, I'm going to come in again. Okay, so if I bring that over, this time it's been done on the inside of the circle, like so, shallow perforated, embossed to give it the whiteness, and then pico cut to create an aperture. Because this artwork is on a separate piece underneath. And that is just using that one piece there. So when you say, I mean, Linda, she really has, oh look, one more piece. Cute little penguins. This one is using the moon tool. Okay, and that is using this little corner here to create these little decorative corners as well. You've got this going around the outside, and that's all the way around the outside of that artwork. So there really is hours and hours and hours of enjoyment in these books. And you, if you've got them at home, I didn't mean to say it like that, if you have them at home, then you can take your time, you can work through them. We covered them briefly in previous episodes of Groovi Tuesday, and I know that, I say, when Louise joins us, not straight away, it's her first day on Monday, but we'll put a plan in place, and Louise will put some projects together. She may even replicate some of the pieces that Linda has created and guide us through and hold our hands as we go. She used to go down to Linda Williams on a regular basis when Linda used to run workshops down in Wales. And so she's been taught by the absolute best. And I know just a couple of conversations with Louise of late, there's so much up here and she wants to share it with us. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. But now would definitely be, maybe you're not ready for your multi-needle tools yet, but you're thinking, yeah, a couple of months down the line, or 6 months or 9 months, I want to be doing that. Then this is the perfect opportunity to take advantage, if you're a club member, of those prices. So thank you as always for your company. Thank you to the lovely Jane for helping out. I think everything, oh, I'm sorry, Jane, I moved the phone out of the way. Right, okay. I moved the phone out of the way to get the book. Okay, top tips from Jane. Tell our friends at home to photocopy the pattern on the thinnest copy paper they can. I think the standard copy paper is 80 GSM. Possibly you might be able to get something thinner because it's easier when you're perforating. The thinner the paper, the easier it is to perforate. And you can reperforate with the same tool, depending on how many needles are in the tool. It's down to choice. If it's a semicircle, maybe I would. If it's one of the more detailed tools, maybe I'd take the time and go in with this one needle fine just to do that. it's all about learning. And I'm sure Louise will have lots of tips and tricks to share with us over the coming months. So don't forget, we will be back with you this afternoon at 2 o'clock to shine a light on some amazing Groovi products that are currently in the half price club member sale. So I'm going to tidy this all up, work out a plan, and I'll see you with Barb at 2 o'clock. Take care.